been 11 years and 10 ICC titles since India has won a title. Welcome to Shiny Side. I'm your host, Faris, and we have with us Vivek from a very hot Gurgaon, I believe, and Umair in Dubai. Welcome to the show, guys. The World Cup has just begun. For the first time, there was a opening game of the World Cup, which I didn't watch a single ball of because the timing was just off for me. But welcome to the show, Vivek.
Thanks, Faris, and lovely to be here. Excited, the new tournament now.
Yeah. Umair, how are things? I believe this is the last weekend in Dubai for you for a month before you fly off to the World Cup.
It absolutely is. Thank you for having me here. And, it was a shocker yesterday when in the evening around 5, 6 p.m., I realized that the World Cup is starting at 4:30 a.m. Yeah. And I'm like, oh man, this is like too soon. I'm not ready. Yeah. But I ended up watching the Canada innings at least.
First time I haven't watched opening game of World Cup at all, more about the time it was played than who was playing, I think. But we'll come to that. But this show is about India and India's chances. And there's, again, the weight of expectations and so on and so forth. To kick things off, I'm going to list out now, Vivek, how do you see India's chances? I mean, no, it seems like we were just previewing India's World Cup 6 months ago in India, where India only lost one game, but of course it was the game they should have won. How do you look at that? What's the sentiment in India like and so on? What's your quick take on that?
Yeah, obviously expectations super high. There's no doubt about it. And the IPL was a good precursor, right? I mean, everybody was super excited, fantastic viewership and, at record levels, all of that. And I think it's also, there's other symbolism to this. I mean, for Virat, Kohli, Rohit Sharma, maybe a couple of the others as well, it's probably the last big tournament, most likely. So, I mean, there's that sentimental value as well. You want that to happen. There's a lot of noise also, right? Like, opening combination, Rohit Sharma, Hardik Pandya dynamics. There's all that sort of stuff on the side as well. So it's there's this lot of tension for sure. And just hoping for the best. And hopefully, I think this nervousness, and that's where I guess that World Cup thing will come and bite us, right? Like somewhere that feeling that we sort of crumbled, when it mattered the most. That shouldn't. I mean, there was no criticism. I think everybody dealt with it so maturely. That was lovely to see. But but that's always going to be there at the back of your mind. So yeah, that tension is definitely for sure. So tension, I think, is the one word, probably is the biggest word.
So, Umair, before we look into the squad itself, right? So I was looking at the IPL numbers, and there's some real standout performers this year from India, right? Abhishek Sharma, Rijul Gaikwad, Shubman Gill, Patida, Rayan Parag, Rinku Singh, Varun Chakravarti, Harshar Patel, Harshit Rana. I know what they all have in common. None of them are in the India team.
Yeah. And the two teams that played the IPL final, they had no one from the T20 squad.
Yeah. So I recently had a conversation with the editor of Cricinfo, Lawrence Booth, and I'll put that up for those of you who want to watch it. And I asked him this question. There's a certain view, and it seems a bit like India showcases the best attacking talent in the world in the IPL, and then they go and pick the same 10 guys again and again. Would you agree with that assessment, Umair, or do you think it's a bit of a one-sided view?
Look, I think so. That's what they do, especially when it comes to ICC tournaments. And even if you look at India's bilateral T20 since the T20 World Cup, they were playing all these rising stars in all those series. Hardik Pandya was captaining. It was all the new young guns. Come January this year, 18 months on, and then you see everyone coming back. Rohit Sharma came back, Kohli came back. And it makes sense. I mean, look, Kohli and Sharma, you can't really drop them. And as Vivek pointed out, it's probably one of their last tournament, if not one of, I mean, they may play the 26 T20 World Cup in India, but it has to be one of their last chances at silverware, right? So I think that plays a part in it. Well.
Vivek, same question for you. Is that a fair criticism?
No, I don't think it's fair. I think the truth is that selection for India is just getting more and more complicated, right? You're never going to get it right. That's a fact. Yeah. And everybody will have different views. It's there is hordes of players. I agree, and it's amazing. I was shocked myself this tournament, seeing new folks and all that. And but finally, you have to pick a squad of 15 and then 11 for an international tournament. It's hard. I think they do their best. I mean, if you think about it, there's so many stars from the IPL who have come. Jasprit Bumrah, Suryakumar Yadav, all of these guys. This time, Shivam, for instance, they're all IPL finds. Yeah. So I think India is using the IPL. Yeah, you can't make wholesale changes, right? Just on one IPL tournament. So I think it's okay. I think I wouldn't have I mean, barring a couple of things, like I think we talked earlier, Rinku Singh and all that, I think that was a bit of a shocker, disappointment. But outside of that, I mean, and Shubman Gill, was in and out, in and out. But otherwise, I think they've chosen I mean, what else could they have done? That's the 11 they've chosen.
And before we look at the squad itself, one thing I heard Akash Chopra mention, which made me realize that he said this set of players has never really played with each other. So Kohli and Rohit have not really played much T20 cricket over the last 2 years. So in a lot of ways, some of these guys will be in the same setup, like Shivam Dube has never played with Kohli and Virat and so on and so forth. So some of them are also going to be new to each other. That'll probably be an interesting dynamic as well to see how that develops.
Yeah, I don't think that's such a big deal because they all play so much. I think IPL is also a forum where whether you're playing against each other, for each other, I think you get that cross exposure. So, I mean, I don't, and that should not be an excuse also, by the way. So I think, not sure that's going to play such a big deal.
Scores on your screen, guys. Umair, quick comment from you. What stands out? A couple of things that stand out, good or bad?
Look, the biggest thing that stands out is that Rinku Singh is not there. That was quite surprising for me. I'm happy to see Sanju Samson make it, Shivam Dube make it. These are very promising batsmen and both utility cricketers. They have a second thing that they offer the team as well. But yeah, Rinku Singh was the big playing point for me. I think he should have been there.
Yeah.
And four spinners. I mean, I don't think any other team has gone with four spinners.
And only 3 quicks, which means like India probably doesn't expect any game to actually play 3 quicks. Otherwise, they would have had a backup as well. So
yeah, that's true. And look, there's something here. If you look at the venues they're playing at in the Caribbean, they're all spinning tracks. So they have that information already. So they've acted upon that. And then they even know the semi-final venue. If they make it to the semi-final, they know it's in Guyana, and that's the biggest turning track in the West Indies. So they've selected, I think, the right type of bowlers that they need for those pitches.
Vivek, your initial thoughts on the squad?
Yeah, I mean, same we discussed. I mean, it's disappointing to see Rinku Singh out of that list. Otherwise, I mean, I personally also, would have thought Shubman Gill, I know he didn't have the best IPL, but that was also slightly off. But yeah, but I think, Rinku Singh is one of those we may regret, and you'll feel it, in those setting those totals when you're batting first, you think 180 is fine, and difference between that 1 or 2 overs which takes you to 230. And I mean, I saw a few glimpses of the match earlier today. I mean, I think it looks like small grounds, big hitting, big sixes, big scores. Rinku Singh and all, we would miss that kind of hitter. So
I think it's also something we touched about in this India squad preview, right? But I think this also is in some ways affected by who they want to open. Now, if you look at India's squad, Rohit, Kohli, and Sky are short playing for sure, right? Those 3 guys. Then you have a keeper, none of who bowl. If you're opening with Jaiswal for sure, suddenly you have 5 guys who do not bowl. So you can't possibly pick somebody in the 11 who is not giving you a few overs. And that's probably what led to, so it became a Rinku Singh versus Jaiswal opening conversation, perhaps, which led them to leave Rinku Singh out. Because they figured if they're opening with Jaiswal, there's no way they can play Rinku without having a 6th bowling option.
And we had this discussion in the preview for India when we were doing it earlier, selecting the squad. I think it was the 3 of us, right?
Yes.
We had this discussion that it comes down to if they have to play Rinku, Rohit and Kohli have to open. And I guess they're not doing that.
And if you quickly look at the first round games, right? So I think unlike some other teams, India won't be getting on too many planes because they are in New York for the first, I think, they're getting on less flights than Umair is for that matter. But they start off on the 5th with Ireland in New York, and then they play Pakistan again, same venue 4 days later, and eventually they play USA also in there. And the last game is Miami, or Lauderhill, which is outside Miami, I believe. It's on the 15th. So I guess, I mean, I think India generally tends to do well against Pakistan in World Cups, provided they win. I mean, I guess they need 3 wins out of 4 to qualify, right? So it looks like a pretty, a win over Ireland would probably just settle the nerves and then they could take it from there. Vivek, any comments on the schedule?
Yeah, I mean, I think on form, obviously, and on paper, I mean, this is fine. Obviously, all eyes will be on the Pakistan match. That's a tough one, the exciting one. The just that, I think in T20 that the combination of nerves and the unpredictability is just that much more. I mean, again, I was just seeing the batting today, this American team, and you never know, right? I mean, like in a T20 match, small grounds, some bowler has a bit of an off day, hit the spinner out to try. All that can happen. So, you have to be a bit careful.
Yeah.
But India should feel comfortable with, about getting to the next stage. Obviously, I think it's been planned that way.
And Umair, I haven't put the fixtures on the list here, but the way the Super 8 is structured, assuming India makes it and the other teams make it too, they would have to face Australia, New Zealand, and Sri Lanka in that, assuming those three teams also make it. So I think that'll also be a tricky group, right? Because again, Sri Lanka perhaps not as strong, but beating both Australia and New Zealand is not straightforward for India
It's
even.
not at all. And India, Australia, New Zealand are all three semi-final caliber teams, right? And only two of them are going to make it. So it's going to be a tough one for sure.
For sure. Okay, guys. So I mentioned this before, but Vivek, you go first. Do you think for India are the two key players you think will do really well for India, and who's the one player who you think will flop for India?
Yeah. I mean, I think Virat Kohli, I mean, you have to say he'd be the anchor for the team. He's in fantastic form. He's a big tournament player, and it's the kind of perfect setting for him, right? He will soak the pressure. He will do well. I think now, if you saw his innings in this IPL, he obviously is conscious about, starting faster. He hits cross-batted shots, like early on in his innings.
He hears all the media for sure.
Yeah. No, but honestly, that was unfounded criticism, right? And then, he ended up being, I think, number 1 or number 2 at the end in terms of number of sixes hit in the tournament.
Yeah.
So I think he's in top form, for sure. The second one is, I mean, I would say Bumrah again on form and, in a batting paradise kind of T20 tournament. I think his 4 overs will be super crucial. And also I say that because I think India's bowling is a bit weak. I think outside of Bumrah, there's no proper pacer, I think, who'll hold it through. Spinners and how they do, I think, honestly, it's a bit dicey on the day. It depends on 2 things. The tracks, there should be no dew. And then, of course, how good the other teams are in playing as well, right? So, which is a mixed bag. So I think, you would expect that Kohli and Bumrah to be the batting and bowling anchors respectively. As far as you asked for the flop also?
Yeah, any one player who you think will flop?
Yeah, I mean, I think Hardik Pandya is under too much pressure, and I think his inclusion changes the dynamics, and the fact that they made him vice captain means that he's definitely in. And so even if he has a couple of bad matches, he'll still be in.
Yeah.
So yeah, I know in the warm-up game, after I think ages, I've seen him score 40 or more. IPL was horrible for him, not just as a captain, but
at too many levels. Yeah.
Yeah. So he would be the one going in with the least confidence, I would imagine. So probably, statistically speaking, the most likely to have a bad tournament.
Okay. To be honest, when I was asked you the question, I was thinking of the answers myself. I didn't have a definite contender for the stars, but for the flop, suddenly Pandya's name unfortunately popped up in my mind as well. So Umair, same question for you.
Yeah, I mean, on the flop side, Hardik Pandya is what I was thinking throughout as well. And I know he had a great warm-up game. He even got a couple of wickets, I think. He hit 3 or 4 sixes in that 40 out of 20 balls. It shows that he may be coming back into form, but I feel he will be under par in this World Cup. And on the 2 stars, look, I think Rohit and Virat Kohli are the obvious choices. They will start for India like they do in every tournament. But I'd also like to mention Shivam Dube. I think he is an amazing prospect, and I feel he can light this World Cup up.
Yeah, I think my picks would be Shivam Dube and Kohli. I think Kohli will probably be the highest scorer, hold the innings together. Shivam Dube will probably be the one who creates the most impact late, low down the innings. And I think, unfortunately, consensus on Hardik Pandya somehow. Again, this is an opportunity for him to really all the pressure's on him, right? So if he wants to be next India captain, which he still is king in waiting for, then this is the time to show it. But I mean, it's a hard question to ask, right? But Vivek, how strong is this Indian side vis-a-vis the other side in the tournament? How do you see it, like overall? How do they come together?
I don't think India goes in as anywhere close to being the strongest side or anything like that. I think the World Cup was different. I think India, I also feel that I think when it comes to Test cricket and when it comes to 50 over cricket, the longer form, limited overs game, where more classical cricket skills are still tested. I think India still has more classical players, proper batsmen, proper bowlers. and that works. But this game, I think it's power hitting and, from ball one and all that. I mean, if you've seen the IPL as well, I mean, all the other teams have fantastic batsmen, right, on this. So, and India might actually be off, like we don't have a Travis Head kind of player. Yeah, he might, like in the IPL, right? The last 6 matches, I think he couldn't score beyond 4 runs, but he made such an impact in the beginning that you cannot lose a match if Travis Head scores 100,
If he
I
bats the
don't
power play, you win the game basically. Almost.
Yeah, so I don't think India has that, and they don't have. That's a fact. They don't have that player who will, just by virtue of 100, for sure you've just put your team in this great position. So I think therefore they're gonna slug it out each match. I think it's not gonna be easy at all. Yeah, these, I think how they play these minnow sides in the beginning, that will give them good test of the conditions, nerves down, get the team going, all of that. Pakistan game, obviously, that's the big one. You'll know, the body language and everything.
Yeah.
India was top class. I mean, obviously in the World Cup encounter from ball one. But here, I think it was a 50-over game. I think India is, on paper, definitely stronger than Pakistan. 20 overs, you can't, I'm sorry. Yeah, 20 overs you can't say, right? I mean, swinging ball, you lose a couple of openers quickly, everything goes for a toss, right? And Pakistan has talent as well. So no, I think India is in one of the 6 teams that should be there in the latter half of the tournament, but by no means they are like the contenders for the finals or a walk in the park for the semis at all.
Yeah. Nasir Hussain made a comment saying that if you look at the India's 15 and then you see who they've left out, seeing who they left out makes them look stronger than the 15 itself. Because again, there's a lot of talent there. There are a lot of good players, but the question is, are their 15 significantly better than the other team 15? And maybe not necessarily. Umair, same question for you. How do you look at India overall?
Yeah, look, I agree with Vivek and what he's saying, because if you look at teams like England, Australia, West Indies, it's just a full range of power hitters. There are no grinders, there are no proper, no one who would guide the innings or play the anchor role.
And if I can just cut you off, even
India,
in South Africa, Quinton de Kock is the freaking anchor, right? That's how power
there
packed
you
they
go.
are.
Right, South Africa as well. So there, yes, I agree. But see, pitches in the West Indies may not be very conducive to power hitting. I think, you'll get sluggish pitches, you'll get spin player role. So I think India might enjoy the conditions, especially in the Caribbean. I had no idea what kind of pitches we'll see in the US, but what we saw in Dallas in the US Canada game, it was small ground. It was like baseball hitting. The sixes that these guys were hitting was just
throwing the impact player, and it's like the
So-
IPL basically.
Yeah, exactly. So I think in the US, this power hitting game might happen more, but in the Caribbean, maybe not. But I see India as, I feel, one of the top 4 sides in the tournament, and I think they have a decent chance.
Okay. What I'm going to do, guys, I'm going to put up the 11. I was initially going to ask the two of you to share your 11s as well, but I've just put up mine, and I would love you guys to break it down and see what you would do differently. So we've got Jaiswal, Rohit at the top, Kohli at 3, Sky 4.5. Dubey may bat a bit earlier. And then there's Pandya, Jadeja, Bumrah, Siraj, and Kuldeep. So I'm only playing 2 quicks here, but then the 2 seam bowling all-rounders. Umair, you want to go first? What would you change?
Yeah,
The guys I haven't picked, by the way, are Samson. There is Arishdeep Singh. There is Chahal. And who's the 4th? And one more guy who I haven't picked, I can't think of right now. Well, there's one more, yeah.
Akshar Patel, but
Akshar Patel, yes.
Jadeja and Kuldeep, Bumrah and Siraj. Yeah, I think this looks fine. The only thing I would do is probably leave out Jaiswal, open with Rohit and Kohli, and bring in Samson.
Interesting.
Yeah. Bowling looks fine to me.
And so you would have, you would take out the only left-hander in the top 4?
Yeah, Rishabh Pant is a left-hander, right?
Yeah, I mean at 5, but yeah, sure. And okay.
No, then Rishabh Pant will bat at 4. Then I'll have
Got it.
Rohit, Kohli, Sky, Rishabh Pant, Samson, and then Dubey, Pandya, and onwards.
Okay, interesting.
That is
Vivek,
what I would go with.
your take on the 11?
I agree with Umair. I mean, I think if India want to be, they want to seriously aim for winning this tournament, they have to do a few things differently. And I think Rohit Kohli opening is the big one, right? And for multiple reasons. I mean, it gives room for that extra batsman. Plus, from technically the most in this slot, the most conventional set of players. At least you're keeping them right at the top. I think that's also going to be good. And I really hope, but this is where I don't know. I think what should happen is obviously Rohit Kohli opening and the extra batsman. But I mean, this is, I don't know, right? Like, I mean, how whatever, if Kohli doesn't feel comfortable opening in a tournament, I don't know. In the IPL, I mean, he was very comfortable, obviously, and the way he was taking on bowlers, there was a difference in how he was, especially. See, sometimes he can score quickly anyways in the power play, but it's about what shots you play, right?
Yeah.
So he was willing to play non-classical shots, from the first over itself. I think he will play with that mindset. So I really hope they have this progressive outlook and they go with these two opening. I think then it increases our chances significantly. Whether you play an extra batsman or maybe an extra spinner, as Umair was saying, depending on if you're playing in one of those West Indies tracks, it just creates another set of options.
Okay. So, guys, before we wrap up,
I don't think.
Yeah, Umair, go on.
I just wanted to say, I don't think it's Kohli who is hesitant to open in a tournament. I feel it's more a management/team decision because, losing Kohli early in the power play can not only dent India's own confidence, but also pump up the opposition. So I think that it's more of a defensive approach than an aggressive attacking one. And I don't think it's Kohli who's saying, I don't want to. I think it's the management who are taking this decision that
probably. I mean, we don't know.
We don't want to risk losing Kohli.
But I think India is not going to win if they go with this mindset, 100%. I mean, you will not win a T20 World Cup where other teams are packed with big hitters. They will not win if they're going with this defensive mindset. Oh, we lose Kohli. You have to be willing to play that. Even if we lose Kohli, you guys will keep batting.
You have enough, exactly.
Yeah, you have to play like that. IPL show that all the other teams are going to play like that. So, and I think that's where India is different. The last T20 World Cup, I mean, India were, I think, just shoved out basically because of this, right? Like it looked like England was playing some completely different tournament, and that for that semi-final. And India was playing this very classical game, building up slowly, and then accelerating from the 12th over. So happened Sky was in great form. So he was able to pull it through. And that's why India did well. And of course, Virat Kohli, his famous innings against Pakistan, all that stuff. But this tournament not going to be like that. It's going to be like the IPL. I think you have to be willing to play like that. And so hopefully, let's see. I think we'll know soon what they're thinking.
When we did the preview for India for the ODI World Cup, I had Umair on the show. And I recently watched that show. And she actually predicted India to win every game and lose the final. So it's bizarre how spot on a prediction was. But guys, there's no pressure. So Vivek and Umair, you have to predict what India will do in the World Cup. Vivek, you want to go first?
Yeah. Oh, you're saying where India will finish off?
Yeah.
Obviously, I mean, I don't know, it's hard, right? I mean, like to see them
hard for the unbiased view, but yes.
Yeah, exactly. So we are all eternal optimists. So I see them in the semis and in the final. But my only point is I think they have to be willing to take a new playbook, play in this modern mindset. And if they are not doing that, so we'll know that in the first 2-3 games, then I honestly think they may not even make the 4. That's my genuine truth.
Interesting. Umair, your prediction?
Can you give Hadil a call and find out what she thinks? But I think semi-finals, Final 4 for sure. I'll stop there.
I think interestingly, if they're in the semi-final, they were likely to play England, South Africa, West Indies, Pakistan, somebody from that side. So a team which India would probably fancy playing, but maybe not England anymore, but anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, good stuff. By those of you watching, if you have a view on what you think India should go with in the 11th, please leave a comment. And we'll be back with some more team reviews. Vivek, thank you for being on.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Faris. Thanks, Umair. And have a great trip.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Umair. And for those of you watching, we'll be back soon with some more cricket. In the meantime, stay tuned to the shiny side.